Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something developing really fast, the escalating tensions between India and Pakistan. This is as of early May 2025.
Right. You've probably seen the headlines. We want to kind of unpack what's happening.
Exactly, give you a clearer picture. Because at the core of this is a very disturbing terrorist attack that seems to have set off this whole chain reaction.
It really has. And the speed is striking. It started back on April 22nd.
In Pahalgam, Kashmir.
Yes, a truly horrific attack. 26 Hindu pilgrims killed.
Terrible. And the report said the attackers specifically asked about religion.
That's what the reports indicate, tragically.
Yeah.
A group calling itself Kashmir Resistance apparently claimed responsibility.
Awful. And India's reaction was immediate, wasn't it? Pointing towards Pakistan-based groups.
Pretty much straight away, yes. Pakistan, for their part, denied any link. Very quickly.
And they called for a UN investigation, I saw.
We did, which, is a fairly standard move in these situations.
Yeah.
But the actions after that initial back and forth, they've been quite forceful.
Tell us about India's response then. It seemed quite broad.
It really was significant. First, suspending the Indus Waters Treaty.
Wow, that's a major agreement on water sharing. Huge potential impact.
Massive. Then banning Pakistani flights, canceling visas.
And closing the Atari-Wagah border crossing. That's a vital link.
A very symbolic and practical closure, yes. Plus, they recalled their diplomats.
Okay. And then there was that phrase about the military.
Right, granting the military full operational freedom.
Which sounds serious. It basically signals authorization for, well, potentially broad military action.
That's generally how it's interpreted, yes.
Yeah.
A very strong signal.
So quite a package of initial moves from India
Yeah.
and Pakistan. How did they react?
Predictably, they responded. They suspended trade relations with India.
Another significant economic hit.
Definitely. And they expelled Indian diplomats in return. But perhaps the most worrying part was their warning.
What was that?
They warned of comprehensive retaliation if India were to, take any military action against them.
Okay, so we went from this terrible attack to major diplomatic and economic fallout very, very quickly.
Incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And it hasn't stopped there. The situation on the ground, especially along the line of control, the Losia.
That's the de facto border. What's happening there?
Reports of nightly exchanges of fire. It seems quite volatile.
So actual shooting.
Yes. And Pakistan also claimed it shot down 2 Indian drones.
Claims, though. Verified.
Not independently verified, no. But these claims themselves add to the tension, and alongside this, reports of increased Indian troop deployments near the border.
That suggests preparations for something more, potentially.
It certainly raises concerns about potential further military escalation, yes.
And adding fuel to that fire, Pakistan's defense minister made a statement.
He did, claiming credible intelligence suggesting a possible Indian military operation
When?
within the next 24 to 36 hours, according to his statement.
Wow. That kind of public warning really ramps up the pressure and, frankly, the risk of somebody making a mistake.
Absolutely. Miscalculation is a huge danger here. Now, the international community is obviously watching.
What's the reaction been like? The U.S.?
The U.S. urging restraint from both sides. That's pretty standard diplomatic language in these crises,
And the UN?
offering mediation. But, given the current climate, an immediate breakthrough seems, well, unlikely.
And China. Big player in the region?
Relatively quiet publicly, but you can be sure they're watching very, very closely. The wider worry is, of course, destabilization across South Asia.
Which has global implications. And we shouldn't forget the human cost, even short of a full war.
No, definitely not. Civilians on both sides are living with this anxiety. You hear about emergency drills?
People stocking up on food, supplies.
Exactly. And just seeing that heightened military presence everywhere must be incredibly stressful, a constant reminder of the danger.
So this really brings us to the crucial question, doesn't it? Where does this all go?
That's what everyone's asking. Will it escalate further, a bigger conflict, or stay more contained?
What are the analysts suggesting?
Well, some suggest a limited response might be more likely, perhaps something symbolic from India.
Like the Balakot strikes back in 2019, a sort of demonstration of resolve.
That's one possible parallel people are drawing, yes. An attempt to show strength without triggering, all-out war.
But the context feels different now, maybe. More heated rhetoric.
That's the key difference, I think. The level of mistrust in the rhetoric seem particularly high right now.
So even if Balakot is a potential model for limited action,
The danger of miscalculation, as you said earlier, is always there. especially, and this is critical, between two countries with nuclear weapons.
Right. An action intended to be limited could spiral very easily if it's misread by the other side.
Precisely. One side's limited strike could be seen as the start of something much bigger by the other. And that's the nightmare scenario.
So this really is more than just a regional dispute. South Asian stability is genuinely on the line again.
It absolutely is. And it's this really difficult balancing act, isn't it? How does a nation respond forcefully to a major attack?
Without tipping over into a catastrophic conflict.
Exactly. That's the tightrope they're walking.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over.
Yeah.
Think about the history here, the patterns of conflict, but also, critically, the miscalculations that have happened between India and Pakistan before.
Good point.
How might those past dynamics, those past mistakes perhaps, inform what we're seeing now and what could happen next, even if everyone thinks they have the situation under control? Something to consider.